the richest black wife in South Africa. She secretly owns the country. They say South Africa's billionaires and politicians hold all the power. But what if we've been looking at the wrong people this entire time? Behind every empire, every major deal, every shift in wealth and influence, there is a black woman quietly pulling the strings. These wives are not just spouses, they are CEOs, empire builders, policy shapers, and the hidden architects of the nation's future. Some of them control billions without ever needing the spotlight. Tonight, we expose the women who secretly own South Africa. Are you ready to see who truly runs the country? Hit like, subscribe, and let's dive into the power they never wanted you to see. Basetsana Khumalo. South Africa often celebrates its male billionaires and political giants. But the nation's true silent powerhouses are the black women who built empires behind the scenes. Among them, Basetsana Khumalo stands as the clearest example of how a woman can transform fame into generational wealth and national influence. Born in Soweto in 1974 to a disciplined, hard-working family, she won Miss South Africa in 1994 at only 20 years old, becoming a symbol of hope during the country's first year of democracy. But unlike many pageant winners who fade into entertainment, Basetsana treated the crown as a strategic launchpad. She studied politics, mastered media, and quickly moved from being seen to being heard. Her rise was not accidental, it was engineered. While others chased fame, she chased ownership. Her breakthrough came in television. After hosting the lifestyle show, top-billing Basetsana made a move that changed her life forever. Instead of staying on screen, she became an owner. She co-founded Swello Pele Productions, often called Swell Productions, the company that produced Top Billing, flipping her role from presenter to producer. In 2001, when Swello Pele merged with Primedia and was listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, Basetsana officially became one of the first black women in South Africa to own equity in a publicly traded media company. That single move placed her in the rare circle of media power brokers. From there, she diversified across multiple industries, launching a cosmetics line, stepping into fashion, investing in real estate developments, and later acquiring stakes in mining and telecommunications. Every decision expanded her empire beyond celebrity into long-term financial infrastructure. Her marriage to Romeo Khumalo, former Vodacom executive and one of the most respected figures in South Africa's telecommunications industry, created a business alliance that multiplied their influence. Together, they built a partnership that extends into technology ventures, private equity, and global investment networks. They hold shares in companies connected to energy digital platforms and finance, making them one of the most strategically positioned couples in the nation. While many see her as a former beauty queen, insiders know her as a boardroom tactician who understands contracts, strategy, and corporate ownership. Basetsana's wealth is not loud or flashy, but deeply rooted in assets that control industries. Yet what makes her truly powerful is that she doesn't just build wealth for herself, she builds wealth for others. Through the Basetsana Khumalo Foundation, she provides scholarships, mentorship, and leadership training to young South Africans, especially women. She has helped create pathways from township to boardroom, proving influence is not measured only in money, but in how many lives you elevate. Her philanthropic work has impacted thousands, giving her moral and cultural authority that politicians cannot buy. Today, her net worth is estimated in the multi-million-dollar range, but her reach extends into media, business, social development, and national conversation. She is trusted, respected, and connected at the highest levels of both government and corporate South Africa. And that is why many say she doesn't just have power, she quietly shapes it. The question isn't whether Basetsana Khumalo is the richest black wife in South Africa. The real question is, has she been secretly influencing the direction of the entire country all along? Kanye Dlomo. In South Africa, people often assume that power belongs to billionaires, politicians, or CEOs, but the real influence is often held by the woman sitting quietly beside them. And few embody this hidden dominance more than Kanye Dlomo, a media architect who reshaped how an entire nation sees wealth, leadership, and ambition. Long before social media, she was already a household name as a television presenter, captivating audiences with her intelligence, poise, and professionalism. But Kanye was never satisfied with being a beautiful face on screen. She understood something deeper. The one who controls the narrative controls the power. That realization pushed her beyond entertainment into publishing a decision that would elevate her from celebrity to cultural strategist. At just 22 years old, Kanye became the youngest editor of True Love magazine, a publication already influential among Black women. Under her leadership, circulation skyrocketed to over 500,000 monthly copies, making it one of the most powerful magazines in the country. She didn't just sell beauty tips, she sold identity empowerment and the idea that Black women could lead industries. After a decade of dominating the local media landscape, she made her boldest move, yet she left everything to attend Harvard Business School. That decision shocked South Africa. Why would a successful editor walk away? Because Kanye understood that in order to build an empire, she needed global knowledge, elite networks, and boardroom leverage. At Harvard, she gained all three. When she returned, she didn't take a job. She built a legacy. Kanye founded Indalo Media, one of the first Black-owned media companies to compete at the highest level. Through this platform, she launched Destiny and Destiny Man, luxury magazines that blended wealth entrepreneurship and leadership publications designed not for passive readers, but for future CEOs. These magazines didn't gossip, they groomed decision-makers. Her content shaped how Black professionals saw themselves directly influencing the country's business mindset. Corporate leaders, politicians, and elite entrepreneurs all paid attention to her voice. And quietly, Kanye positioned herself at the crossroads of media business and cultural direction. Unlike traditional editors, she owned the platform, the message, and the access. Her marriage to Jabulani Delomo, a powerful businessman and diplomat, further expanded her reach beyond South Africa's borders. Together, they formed one of the most influential couples in the country, deeply connected to politics, international relations, and investment circles. While others chased fame, Kanye built infrastructure events, partnerships, educational programs, and opportunities for young entrepreneurs. Even when Indalo Media eventually closed, her legacy remained carved into South Africa's leadership culture. She proved that Black women could run media empires, attend the world's most elite institutions, and still shape the national conversation. Today, Kanye Delomo may not dominate headlines daily, but her fingerprints are on the boardrooms, the magazines, the leaders, and the mindset of a rising generation. She didn't need a political title to have power. She did something far more dangerous. She taught millions how to think like owners. That is why many believe the richest Black wives don't just share wealth, they secretly own the country. Zanele Mbeki. When people think of power in South Africa, they often look to presidents, ministers, or tycoons. But true influence isn't always loud. It is strategic, quiet, and deeply rooted in society. No woman embodies this hidden authority better than Zanele Mbeki, the wife of former President Thabo Mbeki. While her husband stood in front of cameras, she operated behind the scenes, reshaping the lives of thousands of women across the nation. Born with a deep sense of duty, Zanele trained as a social worker and understood something most leaders ignore. Real transformation doesn't begin in parliament, it begins in the community. Instead of using the role of First Lady for symbolism, she turned it into a platform of structural change, proving that the most powerful woman does not need a political title to rule a country. Zanele refused to be a ceremonial figure. During the height of her husband's presidency, she focused on the one group most neglected by the economic system: poor, rural, and working-class women. She knew speeches couldn't break poverty, but money, knowledge, and access could. That vision led her to establish the Women's Development Bank Trust, WDB, a groundbreaking institution created when traditional banks were denying women credit. WDB offered microloans, business training, and mentorship to women who were invisible to corporate South Africa. From sewing businesses to farming cooperatives to small retail ventures, these women went from survival to sustainability. Over time, WDB empowered more than 100,000 women, turning individual lives into economic movements and proving that financial independence is the most radical form of freedom. But Zanele's power went far beyond finance. She inserted herself into policy conversations where very few women were invited. While politicians debated in parliament, she sat on boards, advised foundations, collaborated with global organizations, and pushed for policy reforms around gender equality, economic inclusion, and community development. Even her critics admitted that her projects reached deeper into society than most government programs. She mastered the art of influence without visibility, directing resources, connecting international donors, and shaping the national agenda from the shadows. And because she never relied on her husband's title, she remained relevant even after leaving the presidential residence. In fact, some insiders say her impact outlasted his. What sets Zanele Mbeki apart is her refusal to chase fame or wealth, even though she had access to both. Instead, she built systems that continue operating long after her name is no longer in headlines. Today, the structures she founded still provide funding, leadership training, and economic pathways for women across the country. Her legacy is not measured in luxury or flashy numbers, but in the quiet rise of thousands of female entrepreneurs who built businesses because she opened the door. In a world where many first ladies are treated as accessories, Zanele became an architect of national transformation. She didn't need to own a company to control an industry. She created the pipelines that feed it. She didn't need a political position to influence policy. She shaped it from the inside. And that is why many believe the richest black wives in South Africa do more than stand beside power. They secretly own the country. Tshepo Motsepe. When South Africans hear the name Ramaphosa, they think of political power. But what most people overlook is that the true force beside the president is his wife, Dr. Tshepo Motsepe, a woman whose influence stretches far beyond the walls of the union buildings. She is not just the First Lady of South Africa. She is a Harvard-trained medical professional, global health strategist, philanthropist, and member of one of the wealthiest families in Africa. Long before she stepped into the public eye, Tshepo built her career serving communities in hospitals and clinics from Johannesburg to rural provinces. She understood that health is not only about treating illness, but about transforming systems. Her education, an MB-CHB degree from the University of KwaZulu-Natal and a Master of Public Health from Harvard, gave her both the scientific expertise and the global perspective to challenge the status quo. While many first ladies around the world settle into ceremonial roles, Tshepo chose impact. She worked with the World Health Organization and UNICEF on maternal and child health initiatives, helping reduce preventable deaths in underserved areas. She saw how inequality in healthcare creates cycles of poverty, and she decided to build solutions instead of speeches. As South Africa's First Lady, she co-founded the South African Civil Society for Women's Adolescence and Children's Health, creating programs focused on early childhood development, nutrition, and access to care. She often says, "Healthcare is not charity, it is justice." Her work bridges government systems, private sector partnerships, and international funding, which allows her to influence national policies without ever running for office. That is quiet power at its highest level. But what makes Tshepo truly unique is her bloodline. She is the sister of Patrice Motsepe, South Africa's first black billionaire, founder of African Rainbow Minerals, and the country's richest man. This makes her one of the few women in the world who is simultaneously connected to the most powerful seats in politics and the most dominant circles in business. Through her marriage to President Cyril Ramaphosa and her family ties to the Motsepe Empire, she sits at the center of a network that controls industries from mining and energy to finance and philanthropy. She doesn't flaunt it, but insiders know she has direct access to the boardrooms, the foundations, and the policymakers who shape South Africa's future. In many countries, wealth and politics are separate. In her life, they are one ecosystem with her as the bridge. And yet Tshepo does not lead with money or position. she leads with purpose. Her influence flows through health programs, youth initiatives, women's empowerment campaigns, and international collaborations. She focuses on long-term impact, not headlines. While others fight for power in parliament, she directs resources that quietly change communities. While businesses chase profit, she guides philanthropy that builds schools, clinics, and opportunities. And because she holds credibility in both the medical world and the business world, leaders actually listen. That is why many believe Tshepo Motsepe may be the most strategically positioned woman in South Africa. She is the first lady of the nation, sister to a billionaire, ally to global institutions, and voice for the most vulnerable. She doesn't just stand beside the president, she strengthens the entire system. So when people ask who truly owns the future of South Africa, the answer is clear. Power isn't always loud. Sometimes it wears a white coat, speaks softly and quietly, runs the country. Nonkululeko Nyembezi. South Africa is a nation built on resources, infrastructure, and industry. And if you trace where the real decisions happen, you'll often find one woman at the center, Nonkululeko Nyembezi. While others inherited power, she engineered it. Born in Pietermaritzburg, she excelled academically and earned a degree in electrical engineering from the University of Manchester at a time when few black women were even allowed in the field. She didn't stop there. She went on to earn a master's degree from the prestigious California Institute of Technology, Caltech, one of the most competitive engineering schools in the world. Equipped with elite technical knowledge and razor-sharp strategic thinking, she began her career at IBM in New York, mastering global systems operations and corporate structure. From day one, she refused to play small. She wasn't just entering male-dominated industries, she was preparing to dominate them. When she returned to South Africa, Nonkululeko entered sectors considered too hard for women: steel, energy, and telecommunications. At Vodacom, she gained insight into the digital economy, but her rise accelerated when she joined the industrial and mining space. She became CEO of ArcelorMittal South Africa, the largest steel company on the continent, responsible for essential materials that build cities, railways, and infrastructure. Under her leadership, the company managed operations worth billions of rand and employed over 10,000 workers. She wasn't just a corporate executive. She was steering the backbone of South Africa's economy. In a sector dominated by men and multinational giants, she proved that precision, intelligence, and resilience could break every barrier. But steel was only the beginning. Nonkululeko began accumulating board seats like chess pieces, each one giving her leverage over a different pillar of the economy. She served on the boards of Standard Bank, Africa's largest bank, MTN, one of the biggest telecom giants in the world. Sasol Energy and Chemicals Powerhouse, and the Public Investment Corporation, which manages over R2 trillion in state assets. Then she made history again when she became the chairperson of the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, the very institution that controls which companies rise, fall, and access capital. In other words, while others traded on the market, she controlled the market. And just when people thought she'd reached the peak, she expanded into the global arena by becoming CEO of Icor Coal in Germany, proving her power crosses borders. What makes Nonkululeko Nyembezi truly dangerous in the best way is that she doesn't chase attention or publicity. She operates with surgical precision in boardrooms where billion-dollar deals are made and national policy is influenced. Forbes repeatedly lists her among the most powerful women in Africa, not because of celebrity, but because of control. Control of capital. Control of infrastructure. Control of strategy. She understands every layer of the economy, from energy grids to financial markets to global supply chains. While politicians argue, she signs contracts. While CEOs come and go, she remains the one they call for direction. And although she is rarely seen in the spotlight, her fingerprints are on South Africa's steel banks networks, stock exchange, and international investments. So when people ask who really owns the country, the answer becomes clear. The richest black wives are not just wealthy, they are engineers of power. And Nonkululeko Nyembezi is one of the few women who can quietly move the entire nation with a single decision. Futhi Mahanyele Dabengwa. South Africa is full of loud power. The politicians on television, the billionaires in headlines, the CEOs giving speeches. But the most dangerous kind of power is quiet, strategic, and perfectly calculated. That is the kind of power Futhi Mahanyele Dabengwa holds. Born in Soweto, she refused to be limited by circumstance and set her sights on the world. She earned an MBA in the United Kingdom and later completed an executive program at Harvard Business School, arming herself with elite training and global networks. Her career began in investment banking in the United States, where she mastered corporate finance mergers and international deal-making. While many chase positions, Futhi chased leverage, understanding that whoever controls capital controls destiny. When she returned to South Africa, she didn't just enter business. She entered the rooms where economic futures are built. Her rise exploded when she became CEO of Shanduka Group, one of the country's most powerful investment holding companies with stakes in mining, telecoms, energy, and property. Shanduka wasn't just any company. It was founded by Cyril Ramaphosa before he became president. Leading this empire meant Futhi was managing billion-rand assets, negotiating with multinational corporations, and shaping industries normally closed to black women. She earned a reputation for discipline, intelligence, and fearless leadership. Under her guidance, Shanduka expanded into new markets and became a model for black economic empowerment, done right, not symbolic, but profitable. She proved that she wasn't a token. She was a commander. But her most historic move came in 2019 when she became the first black woman CEO of Naspers South Africa, the largest technology investor on the continent, and one of the biggest companies on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Naspers holds significant stakes in digital platforms, fintech, media, and e-commerce, including global giants like Tencent. As CEO, Futhi oversees assets worth over $10 billion, shaping how millions of Africans access technology, content, and digital services. She decides which startups get funded, which innovations scale, and which industries rise. In a world where technology is the new oil, she controls the pipeline. Very few people, male or female, hold that level of digital power. Yet what makes Futhi even more formidable is her influence beyond titles. She sits on the boards of Vodacom Gold Fields and major development organizations, giving her access to telecommunications, mining, finance, and global investment networks. She mentors young entrepreneurs, develops future leaders, and uses her platform to open doors for the next generation. Forbes consistently names her among Africa's most powerful women, not because she married wealth, but because she built it, multiplied it, and redirected it into long-term influence. She moves in silence, but her decisions ripple across the economy. When she invests, industries shift. When she speaks, leaders listen. When she moves, the market follows. Futhi Mahanyele Dabengwa doesn't need political office or media attention. She owns something far more valuable, the ability to shape South Africa's future from the boardroom. And that is why the richest black wives in the country don't just live in luxury, they quietly control the nation. Judy Dlamini. In South Africa, wealth is often associated with mining empires, political dynasties, or corporate giants. But few realize that one of the most powerful figures in the country is a woman who mastered all three worlds at once. Judy Dlamini did not inherit privilege. She built it. Trained as a medical doctor, she began her career healing patients, not signing contracts. But she quickly realized something bold: to change lives at scale, she needed more than a stethoscope, she needed ownership. She pursued an MBA at Wits Business School and later earned a doctorate in business leadership from UNISA. With science in one hand and strategy in the other, Judy blended empathy with execution and prepared herself to enter the highest levels of business and finance. This rare combination, a healer who became a mogul, set her apart from everyone in the country. Judy co-founded Mbakani Investment Holdings, a diversified company with interests in healthcare, property, retail, and logistics. This wasn't a vanity business. It became a major player in multiple sectors, generating long-term capital and partnerships with leading corporations. She built an empire quietly, strategically, and without scandal. Her business success propelled her into leadership roles that most people only dream of. She became chairperson of Aspen Pharmacare, the largest pharmaceutical company in Africa, supplying medicine to over 150 countries. This single position placed her at the center of healthcare policy and global negotiations. At Aspen, she didn't just oversee profit, she influenced how life-saving drugs were distributed across the continent. While politicians made speeches about public health, Judy controlled access to the medicine itself. Her influence didn't stop there. Judy also sat on the boards of Anglo American, a global mining giant, Woolworths, a major retail powerhouse, and other industry leaders, positioning herself at the crossroads of South Africa's most critical economic sectors: mining, retail, healthcare, and corporate finance. She understood that true power isn't being famous. It's sitting at the table where national decisions are made. Then, in one of the most historic moments in academia, Judy became the first female chancellor of the University of the Witwatersrand Wits, one of the most prestigious universities in Africa. In this role, she shaped education policy, expanded access for disadvantaged students, and ensured that future leaders were not only qualified, but conscious. She transformed an institution, proving that leadership is not just about business, but about legacy. Beyond titles, Judy Dlamini is also a best-selling author, philanthropist, and founder of scholarship programs that support young women in leadership, entrepreneurship, and medicine. Her books, Equal But Different and The Other Story, challenge gender inequality and share powerful stories of resilience. She uses her platform not just to inspire, but to build pathways for the next generation of Black excellence. Her wealth is measured in millions, but her influence is measured in impact. She doesn't need the spotlight because she owns the stage. While many focus on presidents and billionaires, few notice the woman shaping industries, universities, boardrooms, and futures all at the same time. That is why the richest Black wives in South Africa are not just wealthy. They secretly own the direction of the country. And Judy Dlamini is one of the master architects of that power. Irene Charnley. When people talk about power in South Africa, they often look at politicians or billionaires. But the true architects of influence are those who know how to move silently within structures, people like Irene Charnley. She did not come from wealth or privilege. She started on the ground fighting for workers' rights as a negotiator for the National Union of Mine Workers, NUM. In smoky boardrooms across from the most powerful mining companies in the country, Irene learned the art of negotiation, corporate structure, and economic leverage. She discovered something critical. Power doesn't just exist at the top. It is built through strategy, relationships, and the ability to control resources. Unlike many activists who stay outside the system, Irene made a daring move. She stepped inside the world she once challenged, ready to reshape it from within. Her transition into the corporate world was legendary. She joined MTN, a then small telecommunications company, and became the mastermind behind its expansion into more than 20 countries across Africa and the Middle East. At a time when few believed in African telecom potential, Irene saw the future. The deals she negotiated turned MTN into a continental giant and made her rich beyond imagination. She earned the nickname the Golden Girl of MTN after securing valuable shares that skyrocketed in value when the company scaled globally. Her stake made her one of the wealthiest Black women in South Africa. But Irene wasn't satisfied with being part of success. She wanted to build it. So she founded Smile Telecoms, a company focused on bringing high-speed internet access to underserved African markets. In a continent where connectivity means opportunity, she became a digital pioneer shaping the future of communications. From telecoms, she moved into mining leadership, joining the board of Lonmin, one of the world's largest platinum producers. Most people avoid industries filled with risk, politics, and controversy, but Irene walked straight into the fire. She understood mining from her union days, and now she sat on the other side of the table influencing decisions that affected the national economy. While others played small in one industry, she conquered multiple telecoms, mining labor and corporate governance. Her leadership extended beyond business. She became president of the International Women's Forum, South Africa IWF-SA, guiding female leaders and opening doors for the next generation. Forbes recognized her repeatedly as one of Africa's most powerful women, not because she was loud, but because her signature could move billions. Today, Irene Charnley's estimated net worth exceeds $150 million, built from telecom shares, mining roles, board positions, and her own ventures. But her true wealth lies in her ability to influence policy-shape industries and redefine who gets to sit at the power table. She is the perfect example of a woman who moved from the picket line to the boardroom without losing her edge. She didn't marry into wealth, she manufactured it. She didn't chase titles, she controlled outcomes. And while South Africa looks to politicians for leadership, the ones who really shape the nation's digital future, labor landscape, and corporate growth are people like Irene. She proves that the richest black wives in South Africa aren't standing in the shadows. They are pulling the strings of entire industries, making decisions that affect millions. She doesn't just have a seat at the table, she helped build it. And that is why some believe she quietly owns more of the country than anyone realizes. Bridget Radebe. When people think of mining in South Africa, they picture massive corporations run by powerful men. But hidden behind the headlines is a woman who broke every barrier in one of the most ruthless industries in the world, Bridget Radebe. Long before she became a millionaire, she worked underground as a mine worker during apartheid, when black South Africans were treated as labor tools rather than leaders. She learned the business from the bottom, understanding the systems, the risks, and most importantly, where the real money flowed. While others complained about lack of access, she studied the structure. And when the time was right, she didn't ask for permission, she built her own empire. Bridget became the first black female mining magnate in South Africa, proving that power isn't given to women like her. It's taken. Her turning point came when she founded Macau Mining, a company specializing in platinum, gold, coal, and chrome. These were not small operations. These were the minerals that fuel South Africa's economy. While established mining houses doubted her, Bridget out-negotiated them, secured licenses, built partnerships, and grew her company into a major player in the industry. She provided jobs, empowered communities, and became the face of transformation in mining. But she didn't stop with her own success. She took on the entire system. As president of the South African Mining Development Association, she fought against policies that favored international corporations and excluded black entrepreneurs. She challenged the government, pressured big companies, and forced the industry to open its doors. Her voice became too powerful to ignore. Behind the scenes, Bridget's influence extended into politics and policy. She advised government leaders, participated in economic reform discussions, and helped shape legislation around mining rights and ownership. Her marriage to Jeff Radebe, one of South Africa's longest-serving cabinet ministers, only expanded her access to strategic circles. However, make no mistake, she wasn't powerful because of her husband. If anything, he benefited from being aligned with her. While he shaped policy and government, she controlled resources in the ground. Together, they formed one of the most influential power couples in the country. But unlike most high-profile figures, Bridget didn't chase media attention or luxury. She focused on control of land, control of minerals, control of legislation, and ultimately, control of wealth. Today, her estimated net worth exceeds $100 million, but that number barely reflects her reach. She sits on advisory boards, partners with global corporations, and still leads in mining, an industry where even wealthy men fear to compete. She has been featured on Forbes Africa's Most Powerful Women list, not for glamour, but for dominance. Bridget Radebe doesn't just own mines, she owns the networks, the access, and the ability to influence who gets rich in the future. While politicians give speeches about economic transformation, she is the one negotiating billion-rand deals behind closed doors. She started at the bottom of a mine and ended up shaping national policy. That is why many believe the richest black wives in South Africa are not just wealthy, they quietly pull the strings of the entire nation. And Bridget. She doesn't just play the game, she rewrote the rules. Precious Moloi Motsepe. When people talk about wealth in South Africa, the name Patrice Motsepe dominates the conversation. He is the country's first black billionaire, the mining tycoon who made history. But what most people don't realize is that the woman beside him, Precious Moloi Motsepe, is just as powerful, if not more influential. She did not stay in the shadows of her husband's success. She built her own legacy. Trained as a medical doctor at Wits University, she began her career in healthcare, focusing on women and community wellness. But she soon recognized that true impact goes beyond the hospital. It lives in ownership culture and global visibility. So she reinvented herself from physician to fashion entrepreneur, from supporter to architect of African influence. And that is when everything changed. Precious founded African Fashion International AFI, one of the most important fashion platforms on the continent. While others saw fashion as glamour, she saw it as an industry, one that could create jobs, export culture, and redefine African identity on a world stage. Through AFI, she built networks between designers, investors, and global fashion cities like New York, Paris, and Milan. She didn't just host fashion shows, she constructed an economic ecosystem. As a result, she was recognized internationally as the woman who professionalized African fashion and positioned it as a global force. This wasn't about clothing, it was about power. Whoever shapes culture shapes perception, and whoever shapes perception shapes value. Precious understood that better than anyone, but her influence goes even deeper. As chairperson of the Motsepe Foundation, she oversees billions of rand dedicated to education, healthcare, rural development, and poverty eradication. Under her leadership, the foundation became the first African organization to join the Giving Pledge, committing to donate at least 50% of the family's fortune to humanitarian causes. That puts her on the same global philanthropy level as Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. She directs funding to build schools, provide scholarships, support women-owned businesses, and strengthen healthcare infrastructure. Those decisions don't just change lives, they shape generations. While politicians make promises, Precious moves money, and money moves the country. Her network is unmatched. Precious sits on international boards, works with global development institutions, collaborates with the United Nations, and is a respected voice in philanthropy and economic development worldwide. She has the ear of presidents, billionaires, and world leaders. Her personal net worth is estimated in the hundreds of millions, but combined with the Motsepe family wealth, her influence sits comfortably in the multi-billion-dollar range. Yet she remains strategic, elegant, and understated. She doesn't need headlines, she controls outcomes. She directs culture through fashion, drives progress through philanthropy, and shapes policy through international partnerships. While others chase recognition, she designs the future. Precious Moloi Motsepe is not just South Africa's richest black wife, she is the blueprint of modern African power. A doctor who healed individuals, a businesswoman who built industries, a philanthropist who transforms nations. She doesn't talk loudly. She doesn't seek validation. She doesn't need to. Because when you control wealth, culture networks, and global influence, you don't just share power, you secretly own the country. These women prove that true power in South Africa isn't always loud. It's strategic, elegant, and built in boardrooms, foundations, and global networks. From medicine to mining, fashion to finance, they have shaped industries, mentored leaders, and quietly influenced national policy while the world focused on their husbands. They didn't just marry wealth, they multiplied it and used it to uplift entire communities. Their empires reach deeper than politics, and their decisions ripple across the continent. So now, the real question is simple. Do the men run South Africa, or have these black wives secretly owned the country all along? Let's discuss in the comments only on Legends of Black Excellence.